We are the keepers of the flame, the sacred order. Let the ceremony begin.
And today, Faithful Acolytes, we're going to do something different. As a chili head, and I imagine all chili heads or even people who eat semi-spicy stuff regularly get this also, I'm often asked if I've tried this sauce or that pepper or those chips or whatever food item. I have a few playlists to try to answer some of these questions, but for the past few years, I've also gotten the question of, have you seen this? Usually in reference to a video posted somewhere online, such as those we will see in this series, a Chilehead Reacts. For this video, I'll be reacting to the forays from the Food Theory channel into the realm of heat. Most of the videos from this highly enjoyable channel, narrated by one Matt Pat, explore various random food-related topics such as looking at urban legends through the lens of science, among others. The first video is from shortly after the channel launched in 2020 and is called How to Survive Spicy Food Part 1. I'll link to both this and the other video appearing here in the description below if you want to watch the full versions, which I do highly recommend. A lot of the content on that channel is really, really cool. So definitely, it's well worth checking out. Before I get into this, I am going to note, though, that I find the title to be a bit sensationalist, clickbaity, if you will. Something not infrequent for that channel, to be frank. But I suppose that's par for the course with YouTube generally. Also, both videos almost serve as hard sells for Matt Pat to be on the Hot One show, with the first 2 minutes of the first of these two videos entirely devoted to pitching at Sean Evans, even after the Hot Ones show itself has long moved past online influencers as guests in favor of more traditional celebrities. Okay, let's roll the first clip.
Okay, so where are we starting in terms of like relative tolerance to spice? I already know, but you should say anyway.
I'd say I'm decent with spicy foods. Stephanie, meanwhile,
I'm a wimpy.
This is smart. Knowing where you are before you start trying to build tolerance, setting a benchmark is a really, really smart thing to do.
on Hot Ones, the go-tos are water and milk, so we'll definitely be testing those, but guests on the show are also welcome to bring in their own home remedies, and they've brought in all sorts of creative spice chasers: avocado, alcohol, Thai iced tea, donuts, even straight up lemon juice, and the internet has plenty of other suggestions too.
Most of these are heat soothers dedicated solely to mouth heat. The TRPV1 receptors function as actual heat warning lights for the body, if you will. And they utilize the nervous system, and they dwell in the plasma membranes of the cells. So all the specialized organs of the body have those. There is an antagonist called capsaicin, which will nullify capsaicin. And that is the chemical, of course, inducing the mouth burning that they're trying to avoid here in the video. But that capsaicin exists mostly in labs and probably wouldn't be a part of things here.
You see, humans have gotten real good and real aggressive about breeding super hot peppers in recent years, and as a result, no pepper stays atop the pedestal for long. Since 2011, 5 different chili peppers have held Guinness's title of world's hottest pepper. If you went anywhere near YouTube in 2017 or 2018, then you're mighty familiar with the current record holder, the Carolina Reaper.
Since 2013, which is 9-ish years from the time of this filming, and assuming no changeover, will be 10-ish years by the time this is posted, the official hottest pepper in the world has been the mighty Carolina Reaper from Smokin' Ed Curry. At the time of the Film Theory video, this first one, it was 7 years, which is hardly rapid changeover. I don't know the exact process for Guinness, and I think the pandemic probably put a crimp on some things like that, But there are a lot of other peppers, the Komodo dragon, the dragon's breath, lots of dragons there. Pepperax, Apollo, to name a few, that might dislodge the Reaper at some point. The last two I mentioned actually are from Smoke and Egg Curry as well. To be honest, I would not be surprised if that were the case. I felt like we've been due for quite some time now.
After 7 rounds of testing antidotes, Steph and I will use that info to develop the ultimate spice chaser recipe and test it against the last dab sauce as our grand finale.
Coming up with the ultimate remedy is a pastime, I think, for many Chileheads, maybe all the Chileheads actually out there. And there are greatly differing methods out there to a degree. Body chemistry, prep, and tolerance play a huge role in things, but none of those are covered in this food theory video, of course.
First up, we tried soothing our tongues with good old-fashioned water, an option made available to Hot Ones guests in like every episode. Should we cheers?
Oh, cheers.
Cheers. Ding!
Stop. I'm not going to comment on water because I think people generally know its efficacy here, but banging food in a toast skeeves me out. I've never seen anyone do this in restaurants or anything, and I find the practice honestly kind of gross. I'm not picking on Matt and Steph here. I've seen other people do it in videos as well, but if I never saw it again, it would be too soon. Just don't do it. It's weird and icky.
Nope.
Well, yeah.
On a scale of how effective was it, F to A+, what would you say?
What is the lowest passing grade? D?
Like D.
D.
Let's look through the things they're going to try. I haven't tried all what's listed here, but I don't see too many of these as being effective other than for lower level heat maybe. So I guess this is maybe more of a prediction, but 4 of the choices that they have here are water-based, and bread is not going to be of use either. We have some alcohol. Alcohol hits the same TRPV1 receptors that are already triggered by the capsaicin, so that one seems dubious. The milk is fine, but I think it's more useful to the gut given how quickly it tends to pass through the mouth. I personally don't use very many of these. Well, I will sometimes use milk. It's a different version, and I also use it in a different way.
In order to understand how well milk works, we need to try it for ourselves.
Oh yeah, that's pretty darn good. So again,
Oh wow. Oh wow, that actually does, like, because I feel where the milk didn't touch, I still feel it burning, like on my lips.
yep.
They're doing this wrong, just drinking it like normal. We need to consider here the purpose of this consumption, which is not really to consume beverages, but to alleviate what is largely a chemical reaction. So that should be the testing that they're attempting here. Now, had they held the milk in their mouths and switched it around a little bit more, they probably would have found milk to be more effective.
Nostrovia. We can always cut this one. If it does.
Science!
Oh, vodka.
Oh, that made it worse.
Oh, it did make. Oh God. Why isn't it working? Oh jeez.
No.
Whoa, it's like everywhere and it's hotter. Why?
This went about as expected.
Round number 4. I hope it's a lot better. This one's lemon juice. So the rationale here is, first off, if you watch the Gordon Ramsay episode of First We Feast's Hot Ones, he just downs this stuff by the boatload.
I have never heard of doing this. I also have no interest in testing it myself. I think Ramsay also brought Pepto-Bismol. So one of the questions I had in their list before is, why isn't Food Theory also testing Pepto-Bismol? Is that in the second video? Do you know? Well, you know. Maybe it's in the second video. We'll find out together.
So in theory,
In food theory.
drinking a lot of lemon juice should help neutralize the capsaicin. Oh, okay, lemon juice.
Okay, ready? Cheers.
Huh?
Woo! Over the teeth, over the gums.
It is helping, but
Yeah.
also the lemon flavor is so tart.
So far and away, lemon juice is the #1
It's like a
heat reducer right now.
Yeah, it's like a more permanent solution, actually.
The downside to lemon juice is you're drinking lemon juice.
Nope.
Round number 5, sugar water.
So, same as water.
Now for this round, we absolutely saturated room temperature water with granulated sugar. That means we kept stirring in more and more and more sugar until the water couldn't dissolve anymore. This home remedy is all about taste. The sugar won't dissolve the capsaicin molecules the way the milk did, for example, but our research suggests that the sweet taste will simply overpower the spiciness and drown it out with a strong, pleasant flavor.
Wow, that works really well.
Oh, sweet relief, literally.
Sweet relief. Good job. Good job. Cheers to that. Like, as soon as I pour this in my mouth, the spice just disappears. It just goes away immediately, almost entirely, and it stays that way for a good couple of seconds.
Ah, yes, a good couple seconds. So what that tells me is that this is more distraction than actual TRPV1 aid.
We gave bread a shot because some home remedies claim that starches help soak up oily capsaicin, kind of like a mop would. We also saw Gordon Ramsay bust out donuts during his Hot Ones appearance, so I'm curious to know whether those were entirely about the sweetness or if the bread itself does some of the legwork too. But hey, whether or not this one works, it's just an excuse to eat bread, and who doesn't love an excuse to eat bread?
Oh, look. I made a Stephanie sandwich.
Oh my god, shut up.
It's a Stephanie sandwich.
And we quickly discovered that the bread alone was not gonna help.
This reminds me of a story of this dude I knew who really wanted to be Billy Badass Biker Dude, right? So as the story goes, he was in a bar, and some kids, newly minted 21-year-olds, I suppose, were working up being manly or whatever, and this is back in the 80s, so it was a different time. But anyway, so the kid decided to do some Everclear slugs. I don't know if Everclear is much of a thing anymore, but back in the 80s and early 90s, for a while it was a big thing. And it had this lore about it, I guess, if you will. Not by itself, though, because that's nutso. Hence the hard-ass part of the sale, right? So if you had Everclear, it was always in something. So anyway, Billy tells him not to do it, but this new kid, this tough guy insists. So the barkeep sets up a shot, and this half-drunk kid slams it down, and then he gasps and can't breathe or whatever. So our hero walks his ass back into the kitchen to get some bread, which the gasping kid eats, and he's able to breathe, etc., 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 etc. So then he, having not learned his lesson, he does it again with the shots and is gasping for more bread, and then winds up passed out on the floor underneath the urinals or whatever. Anyway, fun times. Not sure what, if any of that was true, but anyway, goes to say that bread won't unbind capsaicin from TRPV1 receptors.
It's actually less effective than water, so I'd say this is like D. Finally, round number 7. Here it is, the grand finale, the nectar of the gods, Diet Coke. How's your mouth feeling at this point, Steph?
Okay, I'll admit it, there wasn't much scientific reasoning behind this one. We just happened to have Diet Coke in the fridge, and you know me, I never turned down a chance to riot with the diet. Honestly, we went into this expecting Diet Coke to be the worst of the bunch. The idea of carbonation bubbles adding to the spicy pain just didn't seem all that pleasant.
Diet Coke for the memes, for the tradition.
This is gonna be bad.
Will the nectar of the gods cure us?
Oh, it actually works surprisingly well.
Yeah!
This one is a mixed bag. I keep soda around, but I usually leave it sitting out so the carbonation can disperse a little bit. One of the things that soda is really good at doing is introducing air into the gut, which creates pressure that can activate or reactivate cramping, particularly with Carolina Reapers, for me anyway. It's fine for mouth heat and it's another sweet distraction, but essentially it's just water.
So with all 7 rounds under our collective belt, Steph and I reconvened in the kitchen to develop our ultimate spicy food antidote.
Okay, let's have it.
Since getting a lot of acidity and sugar and dairy looked to be out of the question, we decided to focus on our 2 strongest performers, acidity and sugar. This eventually led us to a lime simple syrup.
Sludgy. It's a bold strategy. Let's see how it pays off for him.
Now, this whole simple syrup breakthrough got Steph to go on the viscosity train in a big way. In fact, she wound up ditching my solution and going off to make her own super viscous chaser using honey for its intense sweetness and peanut butter, which provides plenty of oils to bond to the capsaicin.
Steph is breaking loose here for something that will reside in the mouth longer, which is a sound strategy. This particular combination has showed up in my Spicy Sweets playlist, available right here on the channel, on YouTube, though it doesn't appear for me anyway as a remedy for heat mitigation.
So, with our 2 Spice Chaser antidotes in hand, there was nothing left to do than test them out against the final boss of the episode, the last dab.
Woo! All right, Steph, you ready?
Yeah.
I know how much you love spicy food. Are we gonna do a dab, multiple dabs? Whoa.
Ready?
Ready.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Go. It's definitely hot. Oh my God, there it is, there it is. Let's get the
It's
antidotes
hot.
going.
It's,
Okay.
It's heating up. I'm getting hot and sweaty. I'm getting there. Are you drinking my drink?
Oh, got it. Oh.
It's definitely lingering in the back of my throat now. Okay. I like it. This is good. I feel pretty good. You can definitely feel the heat surging back into your mouth, and it's a lot faster than with the lesser spicy wings. It happens a lot faster, and it comes back much more intense. But again, I think my solution is working pretty well.
Here's the thing. The combination is actually the way to go.
Really?
So putting that in your mouth,
Okay.
it coats it, it gives you a different taste. It gives you a different sweetness, but the peanut butter sticks on your tongue and actually holds some of the spice on there.
It does. It's like a Band-Aid for your mouth.
Uh-huh.
Ooh. It's also delightful. Wow, it is
I
hot.
noticed
It's
that,
not
oh
leaving.
God, it's so hot.
It's not leaving.
It's so hot still. Oh God, it's worse.
It took a long time to bloom. It took a long time to get there, but it's there.
Ahem. So, abandoning science, not doing so great after all, huh? It was kind of fun to watch this in an odd, hypnotizing sort of way. It's a bit like watching something circle the drain, I suppose. But I did appreciate a lot of the trial and error approach they took.
If I ever get tapped for hot ones at any point, I am showing up with an arsenal of sugary lime water, peanut butter cups, and maybe even a swig or 2 of Diet Coke. Sean Evans doesn't know it yet, but he's met his true match in science.
I think you might want to take some time back in the lab before you take a swing at the big boys like that.
Most importantly, Sean Evans, my audience has helped me to develop the perfect antidote to spicy wings. I'm serious.
All right, Matt.
Oh, this is the sequel? The part 2, the Hot Ones Challenge? Extreme Edition, okay.
Taking everything we learned from our various tests, we concocted our own spice solutions. A chilled lime simple syrup, which was acidic, sweet, viscous, and cold, as well as a peanut butter honey mixture, which was oily, sweet, and viscous.
I don't use either of these 2 methods, and I don't know anyone who does. I do know a lot of non-chili heads who will try to stuff their mouths with foods that they like when they feel they have an intensely spicy burning, which is kind of what I think might be a play here.
We're definitely curious to know if there were even better options out there. And fortunately, you loyal theorists have been flooding us with suggestions and home remedies for the past year over on YouTube, Twitter, Reddit.
This is a really good idea, at least for content, for just a fun video. I have strong reservations how effective any of these will be, though. No, I do know. I do know. I haven't seen the full list for this video yet, but sourcing for fixes online can be a really mixed bag.
So today we're going to test a handful of different spice chasers against the Wingstop Atomic Sauce, which has a pretty decent amount of heat to it, but isn't anything outrageous.
I have done a video for the Wingstop Atomic Wings, available in the fast food / restaurants place. Wait. Is that soap? What the fuck?
Once we've determined what the best spice chaser of the bunch is in the qualifying rounds, we're going to pit it against Hot Ones' own Last Dab Sauce in the final round. We'll also compare this episode's winner against our previous 2 winners from the last episode, the Lime Simple Syrup and the Honey Peanut Butter.
I kind of dig this. Comparison testing is fun. I like doing it. I certainly do a lot of it myself, though mostly off camera. Though, can we go back to the list for a second? Okay. We have here ice cubes, a shake, mouthwash. Holy shit, it was soap. There's soap in this list. Olive oil, mayo, Mayo? And a mango lassi. Okay, of those, the shake and the lassi have some potential, and everything else, not so much.
If you don't see your spice solution in today's episode, keep sending them in, because who knows, we can make this a yearly thing.
Nope.
So I guess this answers if Steph will be in part 3 or any future installments.
Round number 1, ice cubes.
This will work for TRPV1 receptor relief conditionally as long as the ice stays in immediate vicinity to the actual receptors. That is the condition. If that doesn't happen, then you're basically just dealing with how effective water is.
So a ton of you suggested spice chasers like sugar milk, milkshakes, ice cream, basically things that checked the dairy, sweetness, viscosity, and coldness checkboxes. Milkshakes feel like they make a good representative for this entire group.
The shakes are also covering ice cream, and here we have a custardy shake, which tend to be a little bit thicker. Shakes are something to be a little cautious with, though, as they often will have too much other stuff, like different ingredients, cookies and fruit chunks and stuff. And they will also sometimes be too watery to be of much use. I don't use anything on this list particularly, other than maybe a shake as prep if I'm eating something particularly brutal to try to stave off the cramping. But if I do, I usually will have it a good 30 to 60 minutes before engaging with the actual whatever the super hot thing is, so as to give my body enough time to leach off the water, but leave the actual elements I want still in my stomach.
Go for it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh, that's nice.
Ice cream is pretty tried and true, though more for just lower to mid-level heat.
Round 3, mouthwash.
Get out.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks. It's terrible. Ladies and gentlemen, the hits just keep on coming because we're following up mouthwash with soap.
No. Do not put soap in your mouth. Also, Matt Pat could have tested this idea in another way not involving putting soap in his mouth, which don't do that. Do not. No. All he needed to do was to put some hot sauce on his hands, right, on his fingers, and then wash his hands with that dish soap, and then test to see if he could handle his junk without it burning. TRPV1 receptors are down there as well, hence why you see dudes using gloves to handle spicy stuff, and it's really, I think, a rite of Chilehead passage to forget to wash your hands after eating something really spicy and then go use the toilet. Aiming the fire hose can quickly become a very unforgettable experience. Also, trying to use products not meant to be consumables to alleviate mouth heat should be avoided.
What are we doing? What are we doing with ourselves?
No idea, really.
No, it's soap. That's stupid. This is stupid. This gets a stupid out of 10. Come on.
Glad one of us said it.
Round number 5, oil.
Not a fan.
Swish.
Not helping. Oh, my mouth tastes slightly more Italian, but other than that, there's no difference. Oh, did that help you?
No.
Here we get into, again, binding with TRPV1 receptors and the chemical attraction of the various parties, but still a worthy effort. I still can't believe they attempted this.
And finally, we get to, thankfully, a good one, which is the mango lassi.
The lassi is a yogurt-based cold drink famous as being the go-to spice reliever in northern India.
This has potential. Again, never used it myself, but it has potential.
The cooling of the yogurt is nice. The fact that it's cool, the sugar are all definitely helping, but it's not a long-term effect, really.
Yeah.
I think the best so far for me is still the milkshake.
The conclusion that all this is getting to, all this testing, all this evidence, will they get it? My ratings will be the milkshake and the lassi are probably worth using depending on how many extraneous ingredients are in the final product and the heat level. Everything else is either junk or worse than useless.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the grand finale, the challenge to end all challenges. We take our winner from this round of testing, which was far and away the milkshake.
Milkshake, thumbs
Almost
up.
uncontested.
It's great.
And we compare it and mix it with our winners from last time. So the lime simple syrup, as well as the honey peanut butter mixture that Stephanie concocted.
I stand by this one.
And just like last time, we're testing it with the granddaddy of hot sauces, the last dab. The heat profile of the Apollo pepper is akin to having your head slowly lit aflame. You feel the fire consume your skull, your tongue smolders, burning tears pour from your eyes, and then 5 minutes later, the ride is over, your heart rate returns to normal, the panic subsides. This pepper is like no other.
Your heart rate?
Your heart rate subsides. I'm opening it live on camera right now.
I think I have a heart condition. I need to sit this out.
Okay, so if you have an actual heart condition, screwing around with super hots is maybe not the good move here. Maybe not the best idea. Let's start with that right off the bat for starters. Part of this has to do with people panicking, which inevitably will induce adrenaline bumps. So freaking out and getting sent to the ER seems like a really poor end result. Also, let's talk about the listings. There's not specifically changeover every year, as MatPat indicated. In fact, on the blog, and there's a link to that in the description below, my hot sauce blog, I have a list of all the Hot Ones sauces, including the number 10 slot, which has been Apollo for quite a while now. I also have a playlist right here on YouTube, another one, of all the sauces appearing on the Hot Ones I've done, which does include the last dab Apollo.
Here, I'm gonna just try real quick. I did this last time too, just so we could get a sense of what the flavor of this thing tastes like alone.
It tastes like fire. What do you mean?
Oh.
The flavor. It tastes like charcoal and fire. Okay.
So last.
That was such a tiny.
It is hot, and it builds, and that, like you said, that was a very small pull.
It's definitely a very hot sauce. There's no mistaking that. I also did the Hot Ones chicken bites. If you want to see me doing the Apollo specifically, which is in the Hot Ones playlist, as I mentioned before. And you can also look at the Hot Ones crossover menu, the entire menu with the Shake Shack, which they had a collaboration sauce. It was actually kind of more of a mayo. That is in the fast foods restaurant playlist if you want to check that out. I've done that as well, right here on YouTube.
Please let it stop. Why won't it stop? It won't stop, Steph.
I know, it's really
It won't stop.
It's really bad.
We've done 2 episodes and tried well over a dozen spice chasers, and I think we can put together a cumulative tier list of what we know so far.
A tier list. I love those. Maybe I'll do one myself one day. I'm not sure I agree with this particular tier list, though. As a chili head for decades, I played around with lots and lots of different stuff, and honestly, this ordering seems wrong. But then I don't deal with varying degrees either. Something either works for me or it doesn't. Also, they apparently still have not tested Pepto-Bismol. So, that's the video. If there is a third part to this from the food theory, I hope that there is some remarking on the effects other than strictly mouth heat. They did a little bit in the second video where MatPat is describing some symptoms of nausea, which is generally endemic of cramping, capsaicin cramps, cap cramps, if you will, if you call them in the vernacular. As for me personally, I do not care at all. Not even a little bit how hot is something in my mouth. That sounded inexact. Let me try that again. I don't care how overly picante my mouth TRPV1 receptors register something. My concern is definitely and pretty much solely the cap cramps in my stomachs, and I don't really get in the intestines super bad, but it can be also unpleasant there. More it's the stomach that I find obnoxious. So all of my prep, which I might do a video on someday, and heat mitigation post-consumption, if I do any, revolves around and is centered just on that, just on the stomach cap cramps. Speaking strictly to that part, I don't find sugar and acids at all helpful. I also strongly would suggest that MatPat go to the experts for any projected third installment, which would be, so much as there are experts, the YouTube Chilehead community. Those of us who eat this kind of stuff all the time are probably in a far better position to know. And there's a solid spectrum from myself, who is more heavily on the side of flavor first, to maniacs like Roger Trier, the crazy kids at Heat 101, Bella and Dark, and Johnny Scoville, the man himself, who are all at the more extreme end of things. And I think 3 of those 4 names I just actually maybe at least 2 of those names I mentioned are in the Netflix, the infamous Netflix chili eating contest, along with Smokin' Ed Curry, whose name has popped up a few times in this video as well. So if you have Netflix, definitely check that out. It's kind of a fun video. But all that said, it does sound to me like it could be a pretty cool, fun, mega collab food theory video. To get myself and some of the other usual suspects, just kind of get some input from all of us, or up here on camera or what have you. Collabs are fun. Definitely would be something I'd be interested in doing. But for now, as always,
Go forth in peace to serve the flame.